So when the ISSB was formed, it was clear that everyone said you need to take on climate as a first topic on your agenda. And so the first proposals deal with climate-related disclosures. But it was not climate only, it was climate first. And so the board, in its first discussion, started to discuss how are we actually going to decide what we're going to take on next on our agenda. The expectation is that there will be an agenda consultation later this year, somewhere maybe September, October. The agenda consultation will be issued and we will all be able to give input. So the board discussed in the July meeting, first of all, what are the criteria that we need to take into account in order to decide on what we prioritize in our work plan. And they take a lot of inspiration from the agenda criteria that the sister board, the IASB, uses. So issues like, looking at where investor demand is highest, looking at how many companies are actually affected by the issue that we will be taking on, but also, how likely is it actually that we can come up with a practical solution. And staff actually also recommended that there would be an additional criterion to the one that the ISB uses, and that is also looking at what are actually the needs of major jurisdictions around the world in order to decide what we take on first. So that was the first part of the discussion. In terms of the potential agenda items that they may take on, there's quite a long list of things that they could consider. But topics that were proposed by staff, at least for discussion, included should we take on a project on human capital, where ISSB already was doing work on. A topic of human rights, where EFRAG already has a standard in Europe. Should we take on biodiversity, water or marine resources, growing economic inequality and how that actually affects businesses, cybersecurity and data breaches. So a whole raft of topics that are at the moment being considered, including a number of the projects that the ISSB had on its agenda already. These will be included in the agenda consultation, and we would all have an opportunity to give our views on what should be the priority. The initial feedback really showed support for the direction of travel that the standards are taking at the moment. People do like the structure that have been adopted, the TCFD framework, that goes into strategy, risk and opportunities, and metrics and targets, the TCFD structure. They also emphasize that it is important that there is interconnectivity between financial reporting and sustainability reporting, and an alignment of concepts to the largest extent possible. Commentators also highlighted questions around the assurability of the information. And finally, also questions around how the ISSB standards interact with regional initiatives such as the SEC proposals on climate disclosures and the EU EFRAG initiatives. All important questions. So we will be monitoring and analyzing and reporting as the board develops its agenda further and discusses the proposals that they have out at the moment and develop these into final standards. I think to conclude, we can say that there's a huge momentum for the ISSB. I think the board is aware that there is urgency in the work that they do, because they also interact with jurisdictional initiatives like the ones in the EU and the US. And there's a strong belief that we should be working for a building block approach where the international standards form the basis on which jurisdictions then can build. So time is of the essence. A lot will happen over the next few months, and I would invite all of you to continue watching this space and to engage with the ISSB wherever you can. Thank you for your attention, and I hope to see you in a future occasion.